The rain at Brasília Air Base wasn't just falling. It was an unrelenting curtain of water, turning the tarmac into a shimmering, gray mirror. A storm like this usually grounds everything, sending pilots and crew scrambling for the dry comfort of the hangars. But not today. Today, one lone aircraft defied the deluge. It was a Vans RV-8, its tail number N361WN, a fleeting blur against the angry sky. And it wasn't just flying. It was dancing with the storm. Through the sheets of rain, the crowd on the ground watched, breathless. The small plane climbed straight up, a silver dart piercing the heart of a thunderhead, before tumbling end over end in a series of impossible loops. It snapped into a perfect barrel roll, tracing a corkscrew through the air so precisely it seemed to defy the wind and rain lashing against it. Each maneuver was sharper, more audacious than the last. A gasp went through the onlookers as the RV-8 seemed to stall, hanging motionless for a heart-stopping second before diving, pulling up just feet above the wet runway and rocketing back into the storm. They whispered among themselves, "Who is this pilot?" The skill was beyond anything they had ever witnessed. It wasn't just mastery, it was artistry. It was as if the pilot wasn't fighting the storm, but was part of it, using its raw power to fuel an aerial ballet. But what they didn't know, what they couldn't possibly comprehend, was the true secret behind the stick. The pilot wasn't just exceptionally skilled, they were human, and that, it turns out, was more extraordinary than anyone could imagine, because high above the clouds, far beyond the reach of human radar, another audience was watching. An alien observer fleet, silent and vast, hung in the upper atmosphere. These were ancient beings, voyagers who had meticulously catalogued 400 inhabited worlds. They had seen species that could communicate telepathically, beings made of pure energy, life that thrived in the crushing depths of gas giants. They had seen it all, or so they thought. Never in all their travels had they encountered a species like this. A species that, without any inherent biological ability for flight, could instinctively merge with a machine of metal and wire. A species that could take a crude, physics-bound contraption and make it an extension of their own body, their own will. Lightning forked across the sky, its brilliant flash illuminating the polished fuselage of the RV-8 as it twisted and turned with a fluid grace that no computer, no algorithm, could ever hope to replicate. It was chaotic, yet perfect. It was raw intuition made manifest. A low, resonant hum passed between the alien vessels, a form of communication beyond sound. Observe. One thought transmission rippled through the fleet. This species, it does not simply fly. It bends the sky itself to its will. On their holographic displays, the data streams were a chaotic mess. Their predictive models failed, unable to anticipate the pilot's next move. Every calculation they ran concluded that the maneuvers were impossible, a direct violation of aerodynamic principles, especially in these weather conditions. Yet, they were happening. The pilot wasn't just flying a plane, they were expressing something deeply, primally human. It was a cocktail of courage, audacity, and a sheer, unadulterated joy for pushing limits. It was the same spirit that drove humans to climb the highest mountains and explore the deepest oceans. The aliens had cataloged species by their technology, their biology, their social structures, but they had no metric for this. They had no way to quantify a soul that yearns to dance in a hurricane. As the RV-8 finally descended, slicing through the rain for a flawless landing, the alien fleet remained. A new directive was issued, overriding all previous protocols. The mission was no longer just to observe, it was to understand. How could a fragile, organic being, born to the ground, command the sky with such passion and defiance? What was this hidden power, this spark that allowed them to turn machines into extensions of their dreams? The storm over Brasília was ending, but for the silent watchers in the void, the real storm, the storm of curiosity and wonder about humanity had just begun. That night, as the pilot returned to his small, cramped quarters, exhaustion hit him like a physical blow. He collapsed onto his cot and fell into a deep sleep, But this was no ordinary rest. He was about to slip into a dream unlike any he had ever experienced. The oppressive heat of Brazil vanished, replaced by the cool, damp air of a cavern deep beneath a mountain. The low, rhythmic sound of dripping water echoed off the stone walls. He wasn't alone. All around him were dwarves, their faces grimy with soot, their eyes glinting with mischief. And standing among them, a figure with a sly grin and eyes that danced with ancient secrets, the trickster god, Loki. Rain pattered on the stone ceiling, a steady drumbeat in the underground silence. Loki, ever the showman, casually tossed a heavy, ornate hammer across the room. It landed with a thud that seemed to shake the very foundations of the earth. "Go on," Loki challenged, his voice laced with amusement. "Try lifting it." The dwarves erupted in guttural laughter, their voices bouncing off the cavern walls. "No mortal can move it," one of them growled, his beard bristling. "Only the worthy may wield such a weapon." The air was thick with their scorn, their absolute certainty that this human was nothing. But the pilot felt strangely calm. The mockery, the impossible challenge, none of it touched him. A quiet confidence settled over him, a sense of purpose that he couldn't explain. He stepped forward, his boots crunching on the gravelly floor. The dwarves fell silent, their laughter dying in their throats. Loki watched, his playful expression replaced by one of keen interest. The pilot reached out, his hands steady, and his fingers closed around the cold, leather-wrapped handle of the hammer. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, to the utter astonishment of gods and dwarves alike, he pulled the hammer, which had seemed rooted to the stone floor, lifted as if it were weightless. It was an extension of his own arm. As it rose, a radiant, golden glow erupted from the runes etched into its surface, bathing the cavern in a warm, powerful light and casting long, dancing shadows. The pilot felt a surge of energy, a connection to something ancient and immense, something primal that existed within all of humanity. A force that thrived on challenge, cunning, and raw, unfiltered courage. He was no longer just a pilot. He was part of a legend. When he awoke, the first rays of the Brazilian sun were filtering through his window. The sounds of the jungle were a stark contrast to the echoing silence of the cavern. The memory of the dream was vivid, clinging to him like the morning mist. But it was more than just a memory. As he pushed himself up, he felt a subtle shift in the world around him. A strange lightness, a lack of resistance beneath his hands, as if gravity itself had been altered. It was as if the world, having witnessed his worthiness in the realm of dreams, had acknowledged him in the waking one. He was forever changed, carrying the weight of a myth and the power of a god within him. What this meant for his future, he didn't yet know. But one thing was certain, his ordinary life was over. A new, extraordinary chapter had just begun. Back at the airbase, the very next day, a strange tension filled the air. The alien observers, who had been watching us for weeks, finally made their move. They confronted him, the pilot, who had so effortlessly danced through the skies just yesterday. But their confrontation wasn't with words. It was with a silent, overwhelming force. They had disabled the base's gravity field. Suddenly, every single machine, from the smallest drone to the mighty RV-8, was locked to the ground, held fast by an unseen power far stronger than normal gravity. It was as if the Earth itself had a personal grudge against our technology. The challenge was clear, even without a single word spoken. Pilots from every corner of the globe, the best of the best, took their turns. They climbed into their cockpits, fired up their engines, and pushed their throttles to the maximum. The roar was deafening, a chorus of defiance against this invisible prison, but it was useless. Not a single plane so much as budged. The wheels remained stubbornly glued to the tarmac. The aliens watched, their expressions unreadable, their advanced technology having seemingly proven its absolute superiority. Humanity was grounded. But then, a strange sound started to ripple through the crowd of defeated pilots and ground crew. Laughter. It started as a chuckle, then grew into a full-throated roar. The humans laughed. They laughed in the face of this impossible, alien-imposed reality. And then, He started walking. The pilot from yesterday. He moved with a calm confidence that bordered on arrogance, striding toward his plane. No hesitation, no sign of doubt. He simply walked to his RV-8, the very same one now bound by forces we couldn't comprehend. He gripped the controls, his hands moving with familiar grace. The crowd hushed, the laughter dying down into a breathless anticipation. What could he possibly do? For a moment, nothing happened. The engine wind, straining against its invisible shackles. But then, in a single, breathtaking maneuver that defied all logic, he lifted the gravity-locked RV-8. It wasn't a slow, struggling ascent. The plane ripped from the ground, twisting and corkscrewing into the stormy, gray sky, as if it were a leaf caught in a whirlwind. The aliens physically recoiled, their calm, analytical demeanor shattered in an instant. This wasn't possible. Gravity, force, physics itself, the fundamental laws they understood and manipulated seemed to warp and bend around this one human. He wasn't just flying, he was rewriting the rules of the universe with sheer will. One of the alien commanders, his voice a low, stunned mutter, spoke to his subordinate. "We ranked them lowest," he whispered, the words filled with a new, terrifying respect. "We saw their primitive technology, their chaotic societies, and we ranked them as the least significant species. Yet, they are the universe's true anomaly." He couldn't comprehend what he was seeing. Their logic, their data, their predictions all rendered meaningless by the actions of one man and a metal bird. Down below, the crowd erupted. They had no idea about the aliens' assessment. They didn't understand the complex physics that had just been shattered. They only knew they had witnessed the impossible. They saw a man, one of their own, face a limit and simply refuse to accept it. Their cheers shook the very air, a raw, primal roar of triumph and pride that echoed across the base. On that day, humanity had just proved, once again, that when we are faced with our limits, no alien logic, no superior can ever contain the sheer power of human daring, our boundless ingenuity, and the unyielding strength of our heart.